And it's just me because today I wanted to do whoops. I wanted to do a piece on self-reflection and self-assessment. And this week I had, I hosted a corporate workshop yesterday, and boy, was that amazing. And it was an undertaking, like, woo, it was wow. So welcome back to the 20th episode of Power, Possibilities, Peace of Mind. My name is Tiffany Hauser. I am a leadership coach and a corporate coach. And I wanted to take the time today to really talk about self-reflection and self-assessment because I was just looking at my calendar and I realized we are 7 weeks into this quarantine. 7 weeks we've been quarantining. We've been living in a new paradigm of life as we know it now. And, sometimes when we're going through something new, whether it's our choice or it's just life happening around us, that we tend to get caught up in the experience of it, which is great, right? We get to experience it. We get to live through it. And my message to you today is, how often are you taking those moments to pause and assess what is going on? So what I mean by that is assessing, right now we're at the 7th week of this quarantine. Have you taken the time to look back at any moment in these 7 weeks and really taken a look at what's working about this, what's not working about this quarantine, what might be missing that could create more of what's working for this quarantine, and what's possible because of this quarantine right now? So, if you think about it again, we're in 7 weeks. And as I said earlier, I did a corporate workshop yesterday, and it was an idea that I came up with 2 weeks ago. And, even though I've done this before, with companies out there in the world, I've never done it before specifically online and with a partner. So I collaborated yesterday with Tina Paulus Krause on this workshop. And, through the work that I do and the work that I create with my clients, no matter what it is that we're up to, we always have these moments in the timeline for assessment. So anytime we're setting up a strategy, a goal, a vision, whatever it is we're up to, when you're working with me or any type of master leadership coach, there are these moments that we create the assessment along the way. So it's not like, let's just go out and do all this stuff and then see what happens, because that's great. I want to acknowledge, that's great that you're in action, getting out there, creating something that you want. Yet, when you take that time to powerfully self-reflect and assess what it is you're up to, you're able to shift and pivot into more of what's working. So I want to share with you a little framework that we went over yesterday in the workshop as one of the resources and tools to really unlocking your vision and making that vision or turning that vision into your reality. And one of the tools was a self-assessment or an assessment, however you want to look at it. And there's 4 powerful questions that we went through. The first, and you've already heard me say all 4, but I'm going to recap them and walk you through them line by line. The first is what's working. And I love starting with that one because especially when we're up to something or when we're in something, i.e. the quarantine, a global pandemic going on, or this goal or project you're working on right now, it is so natural for a lot of us to focus on what's not working, or how terrible it is, or how uncomfortable it is. So the reason we start with what's working is because we want to load up the dopamine and the endorphins in your body to really focus on the good. And not that anything is good or bad, but to really focus on what's working. Like, oh, okay, there are things that are working about what I'm up to and what I'm in, because whatever it is that you're involved in right now, it's because you want it. And that's a whole other conversation. We're going to get into that during the interview series at some point. We're going to totally get into it. That whatever it is that you're experiencing right now, it is something that you want. So what I mean by that is that when you're up to something, putting together a project, working on something with your family, your business, for your company, whatever that is, that there's always moments of things that are working. There are always things that are working. There are always things that can be acknowledged, appreciated, recognized, and things that are working. So that's the first part of the assessment framework, is what's working. So you take as much time as you can. And I always ask my clients and invite my clients to spend on all 4 of these questions a minimum of 30 minutes. So if you want to break that down, I know we have some analytical people on here. If you want to break that down, about 10 to 12 minutes per, nope, that's not even good math. I know like 4 divided by 30 is not. Okay, so it's about 8 minutes or so. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So you want to spend about 8 minutes on each of these. And if you just want to round it up to 10 and spend 40, why not? What's another 10 minutes? Like it's going to be great for you. The second question is what's not working. And I want to just really emphasize what's not working. Not beating yourself up like, oh, I forgot to do this, I didn't do that. This is not a part of beat up. This is an assessment. So it's kind of like a neutral look at what's not working, not how you're not working, because this isn't about how you're not functioning or not operating in a moment to like really push yourself down. It's a moment to see just like, okay, the choices I made may not be working. This part of the project may not be working. This strategy that I picked may not be working. So I just want to reflect on that whatever it is that you're working on right now, or whatever it is that you're experiencing right now, the parts that aren't working, if you take a moment to step out of it and look at what's not working rather than I'm not working, something's wrong with me, you're going to get so much more from that. And with the what's not working, we make a choice of, do we continue this or do we refine it, pivot, shift it? And what I mean by that is sometimes if it's not working, let it go. Let it go. And I know if you're like me, I'm a hoarder, not of things, but I'm a hoarder of like ideas and strategies. It's like if you're like me, you don't need to let it go. You can save it for later. But for what it is that you're up to right now, it's just not working. So let it go for now. And then if it's not working, maybe there's a way to pivot, shift, or refine it. And then you circle those and you create workability around them. So what I mean about workability is that you're going to see like, okay, I was told, because I know someone, you might gotten advice or you've read, you Googled something and it said, this is the way to do it, yet it's not working for you. And that's okay. So you might want to look at, why is it not working for me? What is it about this that might not be working with me? So that's a way to create workability around it, to see if you hit that point of letting it go, or, oh, I see how I can refine it and try it again. Because here's the thing, a lot of the ideas, a lot of the strategies, a lot of our thoughts, a lot of our actions that we're out there taking, a lot of them are great, yet when we first try them or first attempt them, they may not work, and we have a tendency to abandon them and think they don't work at all, rather than assessing and then going back and trying again. So just to recap so far, for those of you who are just hopping on, I'm walking you through a self-assessment. Because I just looked at my calendar and saw that we've been in this quarantine for 7 weeks. We are 7 weeks strong in quarantine. And I know no one saw this coming. And now would be a beautiful time to assess what's going on. And the assessment tool that I'm sharing with you today is a 4-piece framework sequence that are 4 questions that allow you to really see what's going on in this moment based off of, and I would just start with just the 7 weeks that, that we've been in this quarantine as like an experiment. And for those of you that are up to things, like your work, you're on a project, you're an entrepreneur, whatever, you can take this framework in there. But I invite everyone just to take the moment to use this 4-question framework for the quarantine, seeing as we're 7 weeks in. So the first part of that framework is what's working. And you spend about 10 minutes on what's working, write the whole list out. This is working, this has been great, this is awesome, I learned this, all that stuff. The second piece is what's not working. And again, if you're just joining live right now, it's not about how am I not working, and this isn't the moment to complain or like judge or get frustrated. It's just a real neutral point to get close and connected with what's not working. Because sometimes we let what's not working define us, or sometimes we let what's not working take us out of the game. And when we get taken out of the game, it's kind of like we think something's wrong with us or something's bad with us, and that's not the case. It's just whatever it is that you're up to in the moment is not working. And when you're looking back on the 7 weeks, what's not working about this quarantine for you? There's a lot that's working. There's things that aren't working. So spend about 10 minutes each on those areas. And if this work is new to you, you're gonna spend like 10 seconds and think you've done it. I highly invite you to slow down and spend the full 10 minutes each on these questions and just see what comes up, and just keep asking yourself, what's working about this quarantine? What's not working? Just keep asking the question over and over again. Or you can say, what else? What else might not be working? What else might be working? The third part of the framework is what might be missing. And this kind of goes hand in hand with what's not working. And the reason I say what might be missing is because maybe nothing's missing. And this isn't a moment to just go looking for things. If you ever hear the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So this isn't what's missing, like go look to find like things, but it's a moment to see what might be missing. And for me, I like to personally look at what's not working and what might be missing, because I made those choices. Those things are happening in my life that aren't working. So what about those things on my what's not working list what might be missing? And like I said, some of the times nothing may be missing, but what might be missing is what you're going to use in your workability, which I'm going to talk about next. So you're going to have those things, what might be missing, to move into the fourth and final question, which is what's possible now. So you're going to now, everything that's working, you're going to continue creating. You're going to replicate it, amplify it, go for it. It's working. Keep it up. Like, it's amazing. What's not working, you're going to go through that exercise of getting connected and aligned with, is it something I get to let go of forever or just for now for my hoarders? Or is it something that if I look at it a little deeper, it might have a way to be refined and I can try it again and put it in the what's possible now? And then the what's missing, anything that goes on that list goes into what's possible right now. And then you look at the what's possible right now, and now these are your new action steps. This is how you get back out and go into whatever it is you're up to. And, for the example I'm using today is the quarantine. Go back in. Well, we are in, right? We're not, I know where I live in Washington, D.C., we're definitely in this until the middle of May. And so you take what's possible, and now you create an action plan from there. Because your action plan is your vision, it is your leadership, it is your power. And your power is everything that you get to have and experience right now to keep you elevated in possibility rather than in the fear or the uncertainty or the ambiguity that's going on right now. So just know, when you walk through this assessment, and it takes, I say if it's the first time you're doing it, spend 10 minutes on each question. And then as you start really getting into this, I do this with myself a couple times a day, because there's things that I'm in where I either get stuck or I'm like confused or I'm lost, and I'm like, okay, those are the moments that tell you to pause and assess. Because what happens is when we're lost, stuck, confused, frustrated, sad, some people have an experience of overwhelm, we tend to tap out. Or we tend to completely abandon whatever it is we're up to. And that doesn't work, because then it keeps us exactly where we are or where we don't want to be. We don't want to stay stuck. We don't want to stay confused. We don't want to stay frustrated. We want to move through that. So anytime you're in that moment, and what's great is when you're in that moment and you consciously catch it, you're aware of it, I invite you to run through the 4-question framework. What's working right now? Because something is working. Always there's something working. What's not working right now? What am I what's getting in my way right now? What might be missing right now? And with those 3, what's possible now? To now shift you back, pivot back into action, and go. And remember, anything you decide or choose, I invite you to look at it through the lens of it's just an experiment. Everything is an experiment. Because sometimes when we get too attached, or like this is the way it is, and we get so stuck on it, we're not in the process, we're not in the journey, and we're not in any expansive space to move, weave, pivot, and really see the possibilities that are all around us. So when we get super laser focused and attached to an outcome or attached to a result, we tend to miss every little ounce of like wisdom, every strategy, every tool that's right there on the journey, but we're so laser focused on that final result that we're not seeing all the things that are open and available to us along the way. So just to recap, I'm coming in today because I realized today we are in the 7th week of this quarantine. And what a beautiful time right now to assess what this experience is for you. The assessment tool that I shared with you is a 4-question framework that works for anything. It works for anything you're up to, maybe a conversation you just had. And, we call this a debrief. So any conversation you just had and like you loved it or it didn't turn out the way you wanted to, debrief it. Go through these 4 questions. What worked about that conversation? What didn't work about that conversation? What might have been missing from that conversation, and what's possible? Because you're going to have more conversations like this in the future, whether you see it now or this is a pattern, or like, these are the kind of conversations I want to continue having, or I never want to have a conversation like that again. So let's see what piece of it worked, what didn't work, what was missing, and now it's possible. So I can go in and have this conversation be the final conversation on this topic, on this issue, whatever it may be. So you guys are incredible. Thank you for joining me for the 20th episode. This week I decided to do Power Possibilities, Peace of Mind solo because of a corporate workshop that I hosted yesterday. And it was intense. We had a lot going on into it. And right when we completed, we debriefed. So Tina and I, we debriefed. We called each other. Well, we hopped back on Zoom and we debriefed it. What worked about the workshop? What didn't work? What might have been missing? And what's possible for next time? Because there is a next time for us. We're hosting our workshop again on May 14th at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. So we want to be debriefing in the moment. We just created a result and we debriefed it in the moment, which is when it's really rich and a lot of possibilities are going to be uncovered when you debrief in the moment. And I want to let you know, it's okay if you debrief later. So if you had a project that you completed or work that you completed a month ago or a conversation you had a month ago, you can debrief it now. But the real power you'll get from it is debriefing it right when it's done. And debriefing something. So if you're on, like, as I said, we're in a 7-week journey or a 7-week experience of the quarantine. This would be a great time to use that tool now. Or if you're on a bigger thing, like maybe you're still working on I hope you're still working on your New Year's resolution, because that matters. That's a promise and a commitment you made to yourself. What a beautiful time to debrief it right now. We're 4 months into this year. We're a third of the way through. Debrief it. What's working about my commitment to myself? What's not working about my commitment to myself? What might be missing? And now it's possible, because I got 8 more months left to really, really land this and bring this to life, whatever it is for you. So thank you for joining me today. I will see you back next Tuesday and Thursday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time with guests. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. And for those of you that are looking for fun tomorrow night, I'll see you tomorrow night for whatever day, trivia night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on my Facebook again with Maria Alejandra. So have an awesome Thursday, guys. Bye.